one of my friends, he was saying that, Jamaica could have been Singapore.
Singapore did some stuff a bit different, So
Mm-hmm.
their way of turning around was, they built like it's more an institution rebuild.
What really makes a country, do well, you need to have good systems in place,
Mm-hmm.
and you also need to have almost like good managers or deciders on that system.
Extractive systems are designed to benefit a narrow elite at the
Mm-hmm.
top at the expense
Mm-hmm.
of, like the general population.
It doesn't reward the actual best person, the most accomplished person, or the hardworking person. It's like, okay, this person can just get through with this.
Jamaica is ranked 44 out of 100. That indicates a significant room for improvement.
If you essentially set up your systems in ways like that where they're inefficient, then people are incentivized to do the illegal thing.
So I think building on this, the next step is that JSE micro market.
Hi, guys. My name is Matthew Preston, and welcome to the Limitless Podcast. Joining me, as always, is your co host, Dr. Thaon Simms. Hey, lot of people, Thaon.
Hey, guys, what's good?
Yeah, and today we'll be talking about why nations fail, right? So I think this was something that I've been, I'd say, like, I got interested in the whole concept of, what some countries do to get ahead and then what other countries, fail to do, and, the implications of that. Because I think one of my friends, I was talking to him about Jamaica, and he was saying that, Jamaica could have been Singapore or something like that. And then Singapore is regarded as, like one of the, I guess, wealthier countries or so. And I was like looking, and I'm like, but I mean, there's certain things like our size, and I was saying, we don't really have a huge amount of like bauxite compared to maybe some other larger countries like a China or whatever, and or Russia. And yeah, it kind of got me into this thinking like, okay, what actually leads to a country succeeding, or have people having economic prosperity, like, they live a really nice life or whatnot. So there were those aspects, that like resources, location, and whatever. But like I started reading and trying to learn about, hey, what are some of the other things that I guess end up predicting how the country does, you know? You had ever heard of like the whole Singapore Jamaica comparison?
Always. I think people have always, from I was in high school, people have been comparing, and I guess from way back before that, maybe before I was even conceived. But it's funny that you mentioned, bauxite and so on, but Singapore didn't have any, they don't have as many resources as we do. They don't really have like natural resources like that. So their turnaround was just a little bit different. But we always get that comparison because, similar size, similar, I guess, climate and so on. So the comparison is always drawn. And I think for this episode, even though there is, the aspect of why nations fail, we should also flip it and see how we can explain why nations succeed at the same time too. So I think it's a good episode to do, especially because elections are just finished last night. So we're recording this, Thursday, September 4. And, Andrew Holness is the Prime Minister once more. He's given a third term by the Jamaican people. So let's see how Jamaica does. And we can dive into what we think would allow Jamaica to succeed as a nation and not fail. But Singapore did some stuff. I just wanted to say Singapore did some stuff a bit different, So their way of turning around was, they built like it's more an institution rebuild. So they focus on like a clean what's the word for that? Meritocratic state. So they
Say that
empowered
word
and
again.
meritocratic.
What does that
So
mean?
meritocracy. So you know you're rewarded for good work and so on. So they actually empowered an
Oh,
independent anti.
merit. The
Yeah,
merit. Oh, so it's a
meritocracy.
merit. What does the
Hmm.
ocracy mean? Like we
I
said,
don't know, bro.
democracy. What? Oh.
Of the people, or I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. But they empowered an independent anti-corruption agency at the time. So I think a lot of
Oh, hold
the
on. So the
things that
government didn't control it.
no, I think it was not government. It's
It's an
independent. It's definitely
independent.
independent. Yeah.
Oh, so you
Um,
interesting.
and then they enforce rule of law, so investors could trust like contracts and public money. Do you
Mm.
remember reading a book? The same book, *Sapiens*.
Mm-hmm.
Yuval Harari. I do remember who the author is. I can't remember
I
his
think
name,
it's
but
Yuval.
yeah, it's Yuval Harari, I think, or something. But he
Mm-hmm.
speaks about how the Dutch actually became one of the world leaders because
Mm-hmm.
people trusted them with their money, like investors trusted them with their money. So I think why a nation would succeed and why
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica would succeed has to do with that. Like we really and truly have to clamp down on corruption, because when you look at the book, so you know why nations fail, there's actually a book written about this, and the
Mm-hmm.
book talks about I can't remember who's the author of the book again. I'm trying to remember,
I
but
think it was
it's
two
why.
authors.
Yeah, it's a couple authors. It's Daron
Asemoglu.
Ase Asemoglu and James Robinson. Yeah. And it's funny how the title is The Origins of Power, Prosperity, and Poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it just talks about why nations fail, and it talks about, you know, the difference between extractive institutions
Mm-hmm.
versus inclusive institutions and what those things kind of mean. So, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the extractive institutions, those are things that you remember what those mean, like those terms that he used in the book.
So, okay, how I was mentioning it was that there are what really makes a country, do well, and I guess grow, and the people, the standard of living improves generally, and things like that, is that you need to have good systems in place,
Mm-hmm.
and you also need to have almost like good managers or deciders on that system, which would
Yeah.
take into like basically kind of like the political side. So it's almost like, okay, you need to have someone who's a good captain of the ship, and you also need to build the ship in a certain way that, even if you're starting out small, it's like you, with the compounding effects of like money and things like that, you can, grow. And
Mm-hmm.
then the systems, there's like two kind of types of systems where I think it's extractive, as you said. So extracting, so it's like taking, think of it as, I was trying to think of it as like more taking out, extracting it.
Yeah.
And then you have inclusive systems. So it's almost like, I thought it was like a more fair system. So it
Mm-hmm.
was, I think the word you used, like related to merit. So I was like, okay, it was the person, it's like the person who gets the best or gets this job or whatnot is like the person who's like most qualified for the job, or
Mm-hmm.
um things like that. So
Yeah.
if
I
you're
think also with extractives,
mm-hmm,
it's extractive systems are designed to benefit, and we're talking on a national level. They're
mm-hmm,
designed to benefit a narrow elite at
mm-hmm,
the top at the expense
mm-hmm,
of, you know, like the general population.
mm-hmm,
So I think that's the difference between
mm-hmm,
extractive versus something that's inclusive,
mm-hmm,
where, you know, nations succeed, I think, with inclusive institutions,
mm-hmm,
because they build and maintain, you know, they encourage like mass participation in
mm-hmm,
economic activities. It allows as you say, people to make the best use of their talents and
Mm-hmm.
skills and so on. So it's more an unbiased system of
Mm-hmm.
law. It's like a level playing field,
Mm,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So you
Mm-hmm.
spoke about on a job level. Imagine now, you know, the GPE, puts out another
The what?
tender, the General Procurement Entity, right? Of
Generation.
generation I always get that wrong. Why?
Mm.
The Generation Procurement Entity, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let's say the government is awarding contracts for electricity, renewable energy generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So like
you want to
solar or
set up a
wind.
solar farm,
Mm-hmm.
a wind farm, or so on. And you, Matthew Preston, you want to do a solar farm, and I want to do a solar farm. So let's say the government is giving out a contract for 50 megawatts. Your business, though, has more experience. Um, your business also has a lot of expertise within the business, good leadership, strong track record, etc. And I just started. So you have maybe 30 years of experience. I have like 10 years of experience. Not great track record, etc. But I have links. So my links get that contract. Now that's more of an extractive um, institution
Mm-hmm.
versus something that's inclusive. Where if it's inclusive, you have an unbiased system, level
Mm-hmm.
playing field. Contracts are enforced, given out. Fraud is punished. Anyone can start a business or enter a profession. So that's the premise of the book, and I think that's how Jamaica should be moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's how we should be moving forward. That's how we
Mm-hmm.
get to I guess Singapore's level and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Like, okay, the extractive institutions. Oh, you ever heard of like a zero sum game?
Yeah.
So with the extractive institution, so this would be something with the policies as Thaon said, where it's like, it doesn't reward the actual best person, the most accomplished person, or the hardworking person, or things like that. It's like, okay, this person can just get through with this, or this business or this company can get this. The With the extractive institutions, what was I saying?
You're talking about a zero sum game.
Oh yes, so a zero sum
As in
game.
game
So
theory. Yeah.
yeah, so say me and you are playing a game,
Mm-hmm.
and I get 3 points because I'm better than you at the game, and then you get
Mm-hmm.
minus 3 points, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I have gone up, so plus three. So if you're starting from zero, you go ahead to plus three, but then the minus three ends up, evening out or zeroing out. So that's why it's zero sum. So you sum both of the sides, you get zero. So
Mm,
imagine that, yes, I end up getting ahead, but then you get further back, and it's like overall the country doesn't really grow, right?
I get you. Yeah.
Versus, what if you set it up in a way where it's a positive sum game, where I get three, but you get two. So we both
Mm-hmm.
get ahead. So it's almost like we're starting from the same point, and we're trying to like go across the room, which is 10 meters. I go 2 meters, you go 1 meter. Versus I go 2 meters, you go 1 meter, but we both end up having to cross the finish line. Like it's almost like we're on teams, and we're trying to
Yeah.
cross the finish line, and or that that game where like you put your feet, or not game, but like the three-legged race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like that. Like you've tied one of our legs together. We're both trying to run together. You could go ahead, but then if you do it in a certain way, you go ahead, but then I fall back. But we both have to cross the finish line. So the truly better thing is for us to both go ahead. So we have a positive sum. So it's like I do plus two, you do plus one, or something. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe even I do plus two, and then you do zero, or like it doesn't harm you. So it's like, okay, yes, sometimes, but it's like you really don't want it. I don't know. I found it interesting. It's like it's almost like teamwork. How I saw it was like teamwork. If it's like if you play on like a truly like somewhat level playing field, or so, it's like it just works out better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in relation to so all of this, right? Like why nations fail versus succeed. I think the one thing that I can find that's a good measure of something like this, especially for Jamaica, is
Mm-hmm.
our Vision 2030.
Mm-hmm.
So the Vision 2030 was actually a national development plan. And it was amid fresh, very, very fresh, I think, political mandates back in early 2000s. I don't know if it was like 2008 or so on. Um, but what that document was is they got like bipartisan agreements. So both the JLP and the PNP agreed upon these points,
Mm-hmm.
for Vision 2030. So as I said, it's a development plan,
Mm-hmm.
and the focus was how to make Jamaica the place of choice to like live and work and raise families and do business by 2030. And so they came up with a bunch of different things that they would want to see. We're in 2025, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not too far away from Vision 2030.
Mm-hmm.
But achieving this vision requires translating those lessons of like why nations fail into like a blueprint for why Jamaica will
Mm-hmm.
succeed. So I looked at some of the things, and I even spoke about one of them, which was energy and our energy goals, because
Mm-hmm.
for 2030 we're trying to get energy to, I think, about 50% renewable energy. That's our target. So far, how you feeling about that goal, Preston? You think it's
Mm-hmm.
attainable by Vision 20 by 2030? You think we're lagging behind?
Right. Unless we see some like rapid growth, I doubt it. I doubt we're gonna hit that. I think we're at maybe 10% or a little above 10% now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even the existing projects like I think Jamaica overall is something like 1,000 megawatts of energy. That's
Mm-hmm.
like all of the usage actually all of the um our ability to generate. So we're producing
Okay.
1,000 megawatts, and or wait, that's 1 gigawatt, right?
Sure.
1,000 megawatts a gigawatt. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
And even something like Wigton wind farms in Mandeville, and they only do like what 60, and I think they want to do 50. So 60 plus the 50, that's it's not like huge increases. And then the other company, was that Sunterra, that one also to make 50 meg. It's like there's a big gap to get there. So
Yeah.
and the thing is, the grid has to grow too. So I think the demand is going to continue to increase as we continue to, I guess, electrify as a society.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, even if it's 1,000 megawatts now, by five years from now, it might be a 1,200, because you need more. One of the things I was learning about is that you need more. You need to be able to make more than you need. So you're not like produce. It's not like you need 1,000. You make 1,000 exactly. You want
Yeah.
to have some, you know,
In the bank. Some left back.
yeah, or not just bank, but
It's like
yeah, okay,
a
you can call it,
room. It's like a margin of safety or a room
yeah, margin
for
of safety.
error.
Yeah, investing time,
Yeah.
margin of safety. Yeah, so you never want to. So and then you have to even factor like, okay, what about when it's summer, or what if there's like a heat wave or things like
Mm-hmm.
that? So you need
Or
to,
even
because
things like AI. Imagine if we have like a data center out there or something like that, or we have our
ah,
like more people are now using more electricity on air
mm-hmm.
condition and so on. So,
Yeah, air
I mean,
condition, climate
if
change.
we if we decide to increase housing in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
because that's also another goal, right? More houses means more people might be using electricity and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
that may well and truly go up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also, I agree with you. Like a lot of these projects, it's gonna be ambitious to hit that target. And I remember, well, JLP's in power now, so in their manifesto, I think they had a target of they said roughly 48% of renewable
Mm-hmm.
energy generation by 2030. It's gonna be very difficult to get there unless we see some big contracts being awarded and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And remember,
I
you
would love to
still
see the
have
big
to,
contracts.
yeah, I think
And
shareholders of
just say,
certain
yo,
listed companies would
imagine that.
love to see those
Imagine
big contracts.
500 megawatts,
Yeah.
200 megawatt, 250 megawatts. Like a
Can you imagine if Wigton got even another like 100 megawatt contract? What that would do for the stock
mm,
price?
Yeah,
Because
because
if
they're
right now their max is
just a
65
little over
megawatts,
100. When they
well,
when they build out the other one, because it's
when
600,
they build
60
out,
plus 50, 110.
mhm, so
So
the
yeah, that
50,
almost
so
double.
for all our listeners, yeah, they want a contract for 50 megawatts, which they're gonna use to create like a
That
solar
was
farm.
like quarter three or quarter four, 2024 that they won, right? Or that it was
Uh,
announced that they won.
it was
Yeah, it was
late
last year, like Q3,
2024.
Q4, quarter three, quarter four. So like
Yeah, Wigton and Suntero,
between
and
July
but I
to
think the
December
the
sometime.
completion for that is 2027. So
Hmm.
you know that's still that's a decent lag. And then
Yeah.
there's the but what
And
would that do
remember,
for the
like
stock price?
timelines, man, timelines. I mean, yes, sometimes things can happen before, but a lot of times there's life. There'll be some sort of delay, something unexpected. So
Mm-hmm.
that will just happen,
Agreed.
you know?
Um, did you see that article where JPS said that it's retiring like some old
Hmm.
plants? Like I think it's some I don't know if it's this oil. They use like oil to burn or so. I don't remember what it's called, but they're planning to retire some plants
Hmm.
and to add like I think it was 171 megawatts of renewable capacity in their place. So that let me see if I can find the article and send it to you. But I thought that would be that's also another step in oh yes, I found it. I'm gonna send it to you so you can show the people them. But yeah, I thought that was actually a really good move because
Hmm.
that also does help because imagine now you're replacing 171 megawatts. Oh, see, you're retiring fossil fuel units with renewables. See there. Um, so that would also help.
Hmm.
Would they need you said you got it? I sent it on WhatsApp.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing now is Energy Minister Honorable Daryl Vaz, he gave it was a bold step and gave JPS formal notice that its 20-year license, which expires in 2 years, 2027, will not be renewed under the existing terms. So I think that move now it paves the way for like a whole restructured electricity market. So that's way more competition. I want to see
What do you think would
um
actually happen, though?
actually happen. I
Uh-huh.
think there won't be much change initially because right now JPS has the monopoly, so it's gonna be difficult for
Hmm.
another entity to come in and make like significant disruptions. If I'm being honest,
Mm-hmm.
what I think would happen is
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have more power producers that are gonna want to come on board, but I think they're gonna execute smaller
Power
projects.
produce, so on. So,
So people that will generate electricity and even
hmm,
distribute it to. So they could set up, their own district. But I think it's
but
gonna
how they
be
set up all of the wires, yo? Like, you would,
it's costly.
no,
It's
it's not just
costly.
even like think of the wires that run in the ground or above.
That's also a good question.
Just think
Because
about that. How would
ideally,
you?
you'd want wires in the ground,
Uh-huh.
but right now we have wires on light posts.
Yeah. So that
So
how I don't see how.
I mean, I could still see it. Like, imagine somebody coming in and saying, "All right, I'm going to set up
Hmm.
a solar farm
Hmm.
in like a rural area that
Hmm.
doesn't really get great coverage anyway."
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, and it's self-sustaining.
Hmm.
The individuals pay their own light bill to this one entity. Let's say it's Preston
Who's the
Solar
individual?
Farm.
Hold on. You said in a so a rural community that now doesn't have JPS.
Yeah,
But then are there really that many of a sufficient scale to like make sense to? I'm not sure.
I mean, this is for me. I would say. I mean, it depends on who is doing this. Is it like
Hmm.
is it hitting the sustainable goals of like, I don't know, an IDB, because I could see them doing
Where's the
something like that.
IDB? What's IDB?
Inter-American Development Bank. You know,
Mm.
they do a lot of like grant funding to certain projects, and they have goals in terms of like sustainable development goals for, you know, renewable energy and things like that. So I think
Mm-hmm.
they could be a player. Or let's say it's somebody that really wants to come in for profit, and they say,
Mm-hmm.
all right, we want a densely populated area like
Mm-hmm.
Portmore. Let's say they wanted to just go into Portmore and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, I, they just take out like specific communities,
Mm-hmm.
and they set up like wind farms or so on, and they, or whatever they're, however they're gonna generate electricity. Because
Mm-hmm.
we've seen even solar projects where they put it on top of water, like they put a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the solar panels on top of water and so on,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, they could they could sell to different communities like that, and it could be cheaper than the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS. So I don't know how it would actually play out. This is just me speculating. I could be completely wrong, and none of these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, because of the monopoly and how long JPS has had to, you
Mm-hmm.
know, cement its roots in Jamaica, it's harder for another entity
Mm-hmm.
to come in.
Yeah,
What
because I'm
I
just
want to
like,
know though is, how does this affect JPS's IPO?
mm,
Would they still IPO?
mm,
I don't think it.
uh,
I think it. I don't think it really
I
changes
feel like they probably want the
much.
money.
I think if anything, because some people are like, "Yo, they may not IPO," but I think if anything, this could make them want to IPO even more.
Mm,
Because imagine wanting to now offload your stake as the government. I think the government owns a, is it a 20% stake in JPS?
mm-hmm.
So I think it could be a way the government exits. Like this is one step in them saying, "Yo, we're gonna divest this asset. We're gonna sell our stake to to Jamaica, to shareholders."
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, if they are doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the government said they're not gonna renew the license under the existing terms. The
Mm-hmm.
new license still has to have some level of favorable terms for them to
Mm-hmm.
want, for us as shareholders to want to buy the stock. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm curious to see what the new agreement will look like.
Mm-hmm. Have
I
you
guess
ever
we'll see.
tried to? I was just thinking to quantify the like what their stake could be valued at.
Uh, no, I've never
Yeah,
really tried to quantify it.
yeah. Like
I
compared
try
to,
not
I
to
guess, to
speculate.
Transgem,
Oh,
like something like a Transgem to give you some context to say, okay, this offer is even bigger than like Transgem in terms of the size, you know?
mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I
Try to.
found it. Let me. So this is the JPS top 10 shareholders list up to June 2025.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this National Investment Bank of Jamaica is the
That's
government's
definitely not
vehicle.
20%.
Yeah. How much is it? Hold on. Interesting. How much is that?
That's so tiny.
Oh, this one. Because this is saying 2.4 million shares. Oh no, this is the preference shares. Oh, uh, do I want to do this now? Yeah, this is saying the preference shares separately. Hmm. Like, how much do you think the market would value JPS at? Okay, if they use the
I'm not sure.
profits, like think about it. JPS, let's see. Hold on, how much money they made last year? Last year, JPS made, this is a financial year ended December 2024. Is this, hold on, group? This is 61 million US in profit. Profits are actually down compared to 2023. 2023, they made 68 million US in profit. And wow, look at that cash flow. 2024, they made almost 200 million in cash from operations. 200 million US. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But like, okay, so if they're earning, let's call it 60 mil to make it safe. What kind of earnings do you think they
The
would
government
sell
actually
this?
does. The government owns 19.9%. Yeah.
Oh, that's how much it works out to?
Not that, because you're working out the preference shares. But it's
No, I think
40 by
those.
Marubeni, 40 by Korea East West Powell.
Where do you see it?
JPS. So in their report, let me see if I can find it.
Or the annual
This was an
report?
old report though. Yeah. Let me see if I can find something new, but it's a joint venture of Marubeni and Korea East West Powell jointly owned. Majority shares 80%. It's through
Oh, well, hold on. I
a
was doing
holding company.
some ballpark maths. I was saying they're making 60 mil US profit a year. How much? They probably sell it at, I don't know, 20 times that.
Okay.
So 20 times 60,
Yeah, forgive a little something though.
that's 1.2.
You think they'd sell it at 20 times earnings? Or a little discount?
How much? Yeah, the numbers are getting. So that's one. That's, is that right? 1.2 billion. 6. Hold on.
I'd have to write it out or type it out on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, 1.2 billion. 60 mil times 20.
20.
Yeah. They'll be selling this. The overall company will be worth 1.2 billion. And then you said they own how much? 20%?
20%. Let's say, give or take 20%.
That's 240 million US.
Which is how much Jamaican?
Is that math is right? That is at 160. That's 38 billion US. Sorry, Jamaican. 240 million US. You
That's
see
how
that?
much, which is how much Jamaican, sorry?
38 bill. Just under 40 billion. There's over 200 mil and it's under 40, around 40 billion Jamaican.
Jeez.
How much was Transjam?
As in the offer for sale a while ago? That upsized to close to 10 billion?
It was 10. Oh.
The upsize was close to 10. It wasn't actually 10. I think it was like.
Oh, some say. Oh, some article says 12 billion. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just I guess it's weird because if say the government needed money and they have some, I don't know, initiatives or something that they want to invest in, that they're saying, hey, this could grow the country, it could improve the life of the people and whatever. And if they need the money and they don't want to raise taxes is how the government makes money. I don't know, it's interesting. I mean, if they were in a position where they didn't need to sell that to make money, they could just make money otherwise, like go through other means, through exports and tariffs or whatever stuff, then yeah, because I guess they could get dividends or they'd get cash from still owning that investment, they'd pay them out and they could use that to then invest
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
But
energy.
yeah, but there's one thing I wanted to. I don't know if I ended up had finished the point about, because I think we had gone through the whole thing of extractive versus inclusive institutions. I hope that was somewhat clear, because I'll just get to that. Extractive are where it's what we said, the zero sum game. So one person goes ahead, one person goes behind. Overall, you end up netting out. So it's like the overall country doesn't grow as much. It's like, okay, just this one person grows. One person can take all the wealth. The other people can end up not getting what they want and such. And because there was even an example it spoke about where it compared this guy Carlos. What's his name? I don't even remember who. Carlos Slim. He's like, apparently he was once maybe like a few years, or a good one, maybe almost 10 years ago, he was like the richest man in the world at a point. And how like he essentially, this is probably like, this is just summarizing or oversimplification. It's like he basically had this huge monopoly, like this company that does like telecommunications. It does all kind of other stuff in Mexico. And it was weird because it is not, how I read it was that he became so powerful to a point that it's like the government had issues enforcing the government had issues like actually enforcing any rules or penalties or things that they put on him, because he just had like that much power. So they couldn't, and that was one of the things that the book or the paper had kind of said. That it was like, okay, whatever policies that are in place, so say you set up the inclusive policy where it's fair, it rewards the best person, or the accomplished people, and then these people can do well and then help grow their country. um so it rewards those people. And it was like, well, I just lost my train of thought. I got distracted. Sorry. um
Oh, I'm reading on
oh
Carlos
yes,
Slim.
Carlos. Yeah. And it
Mm-hmm.
basically, it compared him to someone like Bill Gates, where they were saying with Bill Gates, he worked really hard and he
Yeah,
developed science, and then the science, like the PC and Windows
and the
and
tech.
the
Yeah.
Word and Office and all those things that Microsoft developed. And I was like, oh, he was someone who was very smart and worked hard and then built a business and then helped to kind of grow the country of America. Versus what the book was saying was like, okay, Carlos Slim, for example, because of all of these monopolies in all of these different industries and the price power that he could exert and things like that. And then, the government can't even, he's so powerful that the government can't even basically regulate him, or has issues kind of
Mm-hmm.
affecting, what he wants. It's like, yeah, it showed that comparison. So you
Let
have
me let me
to,
give you an example.
mm-hmm,
One of the examples, and hold that last point about you have to. One of the
mm-hmm,
examples was a significant business deal. His most significant was with the acquisition
mm-hmm.
of Telmex.
Yeah,
It's
that was the
a
tele.
Mexican, yeah, it's a Mexican telecommunications
Mm-hmm,
monopoly,
mm-hmm,
and it was when it was privatized in 1990. But some of the
mm-hmm.
key points that
Or
the book
privatized,
actually mentioned.
basically, the government of Mexico used to own it. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're saying someone essentially took it or bought it from them,
Bought
which I
it.
guess was him.
Yeah, it was him. So
Yeah.
uh, it was basically a group led by his group. They won the
Mm-hmm.
auction for Telmex, but the funny part is that he
Mm-hmm.
didn't actually submit the highest bid, right?
Mm.
And he was able to
Interesting.
delay payment and then using dividends from Telmex itself to help pay for the purchase
The debt.
of Telmex.
Oh, was that leverage? Oh, okay. He leveraged up
Yeah,
and used the dividends to pay the loan.
to pay the
So
loan of the
it's like
company's stock.
say it costed 100 mil.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying he doesn't have say he has 50 mil.
Mm-hmm.
What he says is, okay, let me borrow 50 mil. Now I have the 100 mil. You say you go sell it to me for 100 mil. I buy it for 100 mil. You get your money. You walk away, which is, I guess, the government of Mexico. And then they said, okay, let's build up the country.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have a guy to pay back 50 mil to, and it go be 50 mil with interest. So suppose I'm paying 5 mil a year, but the dividends
Yeah.
from the company I just bought are giving me 10 mil a year. That means I could pay down that and then also even have extra. that I could
in
do
the
something
bank.
else with it. I mean, I don't know if that's probably like an oversimplification of, I don't know what the ratios were or whatever, but yeah, that's okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. So
Mm,
imagine he didn't submit the highest bid but got it, and
mm,
then he didn't have the money to pay for it, but
mm,
delayed payment using it's just that's exploitative,
mm,
right? And I think in a fair and how Jamaica gets to the next level is if these kind of things don't happen, meaning you want an equal playing field.
mm,
That's how you have inclusive environments
mm,
and institutions. You definitely want something that's
mm,
even when you think of stuff like the stock market, right?
mm,
I think the stock market is a great playing field for things like that because everybody has to abide by the same rules. I mean, granted, the problem with stocks and how opportunities lies in the information gap. So if
mm,
I read a bit more than you and I
mm.
have more experience and so on,
It's
I'm
not just
likely
the
to make.
reading more. There's also
Yeah,
the
it's access to
conclusions.
information.
No, I was
Yeah.
saying it's how you process it. I think like the conclusions, because someone could read a single article on the company and pick out this one line that's super important, and then someone could read books and books and read all that other work. It's just really, it's also the efficiency I think I'm learning. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I, trying to remember where my point was, but
Oh, sorry. You're listing out
n-
the. What are you doing? You're listing out the different.
I was trying to figure out how to flip stock market and inclusive institutions. Um,
Because
but
you're saying.
yeah, we all have. Oh yeah, so it should be a level playing field. Like that's the point. Like everybody should be able to follow the same rules, and the
Mm-hmm,
rules are enforced by you
mm-hmm,
know, let's say the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
mm-hmm,
And if you don't follow the rules, you get penalized. Just like if you submit your company's financials late several times and so on, you get penalized. You get
mm-hmm,
suspended. Or if you do certain things like you want to see the rules being abided, you don't want to see some people get away or so on. It has to be fair. And the reason it has to be fair is because even buying stocks,
mm-hmm,
that's based on, a lot of this is like stocks. I don't want to say stocks aren't real, but it's
mm-hmm,
the value of a stock. It's perception. It's
mm-hmm,
beliefs. It's person's belief. I
mm-hmm.
believe that
The
this
same thing
stock
with
is
money.
worth. Yeah, money is
Mm-hmm.
still just belief. Right? It's
I
all
tell
it
you,
is
this
is a
piece of
paper.
paper is worth grand, and
Mm-hmm.
then I put on a different color, I paint it red, and I say it's worth 2 grand. Do
Yeah.
this, I paint it blue, then it's worth 10 grand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, precisely.
Mhm.
Even
I tell you
even the
it's
election
worth. I tell
system.
no, no, no. I tell you, go separate. I tell you
Mm-hmm.
this 5 grand you have. This is worth 10 hours of your time.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
You're
That's
hitting.
10 hours of your time. So if you want five
Mm-hmm.
grand, you have to put 20, or if you want, yeah, you have to put the 5 grand, 10 minutes or 10 hours, whatever.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Real. So it's just those are the kind of things that I'm medzing for. I'm hoping the JLP's next chapter
Mm,
enforces a lot of those things and creates more inclusive institutions.
mm-hmm,
Because I don't know, man. It's just
mm-hmm.
I want the nation to get to the next level.
Yeah.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
one of the other things I was saying was important. The the efficiency of the system too,
Mm-hmm.
because they gave an example. Like, say, Theon, you want to buy a new car, and you have some of the money, but you're gonna also borrow some money and then pay off a loan over time, right? Okay, you want to buy the car.
Mm-hmm.
Say to do it to get the money the legal way, which is from the bank. Suppose it would take, even if you had the money that you had, it would take 2 years to get a car loan. Imagine that. You realize that if you need a car now and you're saying you have to join a line 2 years, what someone might do is say, hey, is there a way I can do this illegally because I need a car, I have to work. And then what if
Yeah.
the illegal person says, yeah, you can do it here. You don't have to pay any taxes or anything like that. The government doesn't get any of this. You can just do it with me. And then they make that transaction. If you essentially set up your systems in ways like that where they're inefficient, then people are incentivized to do
Mm-hmm.
all the illegal thing or the thing outside of the economy. So it's like that part of the economy isn't recorded. So say the government needed money to, they were like, hey, we want to fix the roads and we need the money to fix the roads. The roads are bad. That's why people are crashed, in potholes every day. It rains once and bam, potholes, potholes. If the government needed that money, and if they did that, it could help, drive business and people would travel and go out a lot more and maybe more tourists would come, for example. But it basically would help to drive the country and help people do business and whatnot. Imagine
Yeah.
if they didn't have the money to do that. Like say it costed 10 million US to do that, but they don't have the 10 million and they don't want to increase taxes. If they had, for example, got that money from, those car loans that were in the same example, where the car loans were like illegal and the government didn't get any tax on that. Imagine if they had just got that 10 mil that they could then use to fix up those roads, do whatnot, and then help grow the economy. It's like there's times like that where, okay, the country did, that business did happen and it could have been something that the government could have made money from and then used it to help better the country, but it didn't, you know? And it's weird
Yeah.
because it's like, if you think about the other side, if you are someone, like imagine you need the car to go to work and if you couldn't do it, it's like, yo, I have my family to think of, I have to do this. And like, you can pressure someone, even if, it's not like, oh, they're necessarily like a bad person or whatnot. They're just kind of pressured. They're saying, hey, I need to put food on the table, I have my family to feed, we just had a kid or whatever, I need to do this.
Hmm.
Like there's a logical reason where if you are in that person's position, even as a government, you would probably do the same thing, you
Yeah.
know so I think that was another thing to like the systems, the efficiency, and I really hope that is something that.
I mean, they speak to it in like their
Yeah, I
manifestos
hope.
and
I
so
just
on.
hope. As I say, I just hope it's not just speak.
You just hope that, yeah,
Yeah, it's not
execution is
just the.
crucial.
Yeah, execution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know people, bro, that same car thing. Like
Mhm.
I think it, and oh, perfect example. Damian King, he actually tweeted about his experience getting his fitness done at the depot and how
Mhm.
many hours it takes and just
Mhm.
the whole process and so on. And there are people that just don't go to the depot and they get their
Mhm.
fitness renewed and so on. And
Mhm.
if going to the depot wasn't an all day thing, it would have
Mhm.
been easier for a lot of people to just get it or even
Mhm.
buy a license. People buy their license regular because
Mhm.
the system set up in a way where that level of corruption is doesn't just exist, but it's rewarding to the
Mhm.
people that are
Mhm.
actually doing it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I remember seeing somebody getting clowned for paying. I think it was almost like 20 odd grand or 30 odd grand to buy their license. I'm just like, yo, the test is not that hard,
Mhm.
like the test is actually not hard at all.
Mhm.
So it's those kind of things that I want to see fixed up, because that's, in my opinion, part of the reason why people on the road are the way they are,
Mhm.
and so many
Mhm.
accidents happen and so on, because any and anybody can just buy their license. Like you
Mhm.
can see it, you're on the road and you can tell people that have
Mhm.
never read the road code book. You can just tell. You can literally just tell.
All
I
taxi men.
remember, yeah, bro, I see people flying through the giveaway sign. It's like an upside down triangle at a
Mhm.
roundabout.
Mhm.
People flying through that, and I'm like, yo, that mean giveaway, you know what that mean? That means to the person in the roundabout have right away. And you'll see
Mhm.
like videos being posted on like Twitter and so on, and people just
Mhm.
don't know who is in the wrong. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yo, pick up the road code book, bro. This
Mhm.
is why um and the government has to foot a lot of this bill, because
Mhm.
or not necessarily, but if you see people crashing into like light poles, or
Mhm.
if insurance claims go up, and it has knock-on effects. Like a lot of those, as you said, systems that are inefficient, you see the knock-on effects later down. So fix it from now. So
Mhm.
I agree. I
Yeah. I
wanted to
think it's like
to
it's just a general thing. Like
mm-hmm,
in life, if you want to do the good behaviors, what you need to do is make the good behaviors really easy to do. So if, for example, say you want to exercise more, or like say lift some weights or stretch more, like you put say the weight nearer to you. So you make it that instead of having to walk very far and then take something down from like a cupboard or something like that, you put it much nearer to you. So it's like all you have to do is just lift it up. Like I remember someone used to tell me about like how they wanted to learn the guitar. They just had a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of putting their guitar in the bag and like up in their closet or whatever, he just
Yeah.
put the guitar on the table right next to him. So it was like if he wants to practice, sometimes he'd just be bored and he just, oh, the guitar's right there. Let me just take it up. Just practice the guitar. You know? So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's trying to make the good behaviors, reduce that barrier to entry, reduce that, that cognitive effort that you have to think about it and be like, oh, should I do this? Just make it very
Yeah.
easy, automate it, make it. It's like why I love like routines and stuff like that. It just makes it
Mm-hmm.
a lot more simple. And then you also want
Agreed.
to then make the bad behaviors harder to do. So if you're trying to like lose weight, don't buy cake or don't have like you could say, okay, if your family buys cake, you say, hey, I don't want like try not to leave the cake in the fridge, or you ask them maybe to not eat as much
Not
cake or
buy it.
something like that, or not buy it.
What I do
Yeah.
is I just don't buy snacks anymore. But
Oh.
yeah, so that has definitely, and
Uh-huh.
I don't buy juice either. Or the juice I buy
Uh,
is like, like some low calorie or zero calorie stuff, so that it's
mm,
easier to lose weight.
mm,
Um,
mm,
so I agree. You have the government has to set it up in a way where, and they have to find the inefficiencies, and they know the inefficiencies in the system, right? They
mm,
run the systems, so they definitely know the inefficiencies, right?
mm,
So they just have to do proper audits and create like plans to fix a lot of those things. Because
mm,
I mean, I think the framework for success is there, and I think right now the good part about this election, and this is low key good, this is very, very low key that this is good, is the fact that I think the JLP got a wake up call based on the amount of seats that the PNP has won. It's not a landslide victory like it was in 2020, where if you look at the electoral map, is basically green and they've won all like 80% of the seats or 90% of the seats. This is closer to a 50-50. It's not 50-50, obviously, but it's
mm,
closer to a 50-50 than that last election. So I think it's more of a wake up call to say, yo, PNP on our tail.
mm,
We really have to ensure that this next term is good. And I like that because you want that pressure. You want a strong opposition, right? Kudos
mm,
to Mark Golden for, just his efforts that he's done so far with the party and reorganizing. And I hope it comes back much stronger because Jamaica will be much better off for it, right? And
mm,
kudos to the JLP for their handling of a lot of the things that have gone wrong, during COVID and the economy and so on, and taking us through that. So I just hope that the ship is steered in the
mm,
right direction,
mm,
just based on both parties, right? Like
mm,
I want you to challenge. I want the opposition to challenge the JLP,
mm,
and I want them to challenge them constructively,
mm,
right? I want them to put forward better policies and say, all right, this is what you plan to
mm,
do,
mm,
right? And actually follow up on it. Has the JLP
mm,
been doing this? What would we have done better? Those kind of things, because that's
mm.
only gonna benefit
I don't.
us.
I don't want them to just. Yeah, I wouldn't want them to just critique them though, because it's always going to be easy to critique either one. Like if you're not in power, it's very easy
What
to
would you have
critique the
them do?
person. I think there's just ways to you can. Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't know.
It's
It's
difficult.
not well. Maybe it's the way they critique. Then yeah, I don't want it to
Yeah,
just be like sensationalism. Like oh, journal. Like I
it can be
actually want it to be
constructive.
something where yeah, I want that because at the end of the day, um, we all want it to grow the country and stuff. It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
be easy to have a challenge because and I
Yeah.
think one of the important points to is that the whole thing of we're saying is that why nations fail is like I think I tied it down to the system. So you need to have ideally as many good systems in place, and then the good systems we mentioned would be what we call like inclusive systems, and you want to have less extractive systems or institutions or whatnot. Uh, and what you want is over time, you want to add more good systems and remove those bad systems.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why one of the things that is important with this is the captain of the ship. Because if your ship is so the ship represents the country, and the country is trying to get to, say it's like a pirate ship is going for X or One Piece, or they're trying to get to a certain destination. You want, and then that destination is like economic prosperity, like the people's lives are improved, and they're, it's not perfect, but there's a lot of good things that they can say. um you have to navigate that sea. It's a rocky sea, and there's all kind of things that can happen. So yes, you can build a good ship, but it's like you need to have a good captain. Who The captain isn't perfect necessarily, because okay, sometimes the captain will make mistakes, but the captain then learns from those mistakes. The captain sees something that's a good habit or a good system, and it says, okay, let's do more things like this. So if you said, oh, the government did this, it became more efficient, and they're like, hey, this is working really well. It's
Mm-hmm.
bringing people, it's making people want to come to the country, want to invest. Let's do more of these things. And what we replaced was our old system, and let's try to get rid of things like that. And then it's like you want to, like, it compounds. That's like one of the big things. It's like and it compounds both ways, negatively and positively. So it's like if you're doing really, really well, making good decisions, just like in life, you're going to reach a point. But then you can start to make bad decisions, and bad decisions can compound. You can do bad habits, you know, and that can make you reach a point too. So you
Yeah.
need to have that good captain in place, because and then there's other things that the books kind of go into, like, oh, the captain, it's almost like you want to have a very fair political system. You don't want it to be just like a dictatorship. um and then you want the policies that are put in place to actually be enforceable. So we're mentioning the example like Carlos Slim and the Mexican government having, I think, issues enforcing some stuff on him. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, if Thaon, if you, there's a document that the government says, hey, this is your car, it's worth $1 million. uh it's not like I could just steal the car, and then you go to the government and say, hey, I have this letter, like this says it's my car, you should take it away from him, you said I can trust you. And they're
Mm-hmm.
just like, no man, no, that, like, if it's things like that, like, so the policies that you put in place is like you have to be able to enforce it. There's a backbone, it actually means
Mm-hmm.
something, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it
Um.
was. Mm-hmm.
Last couple points. I want to take it back to the stock market though.
Mm-hmm.
Um. So some some of the inclusive, I guess, systems or innovations, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that I think have been good, not necessarily last term, but just generally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
is I think the junior stock, the junior market. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the junior market was launched in '09, and
2009. Okay.
yeah,
And so this is the
2009
junior stock market. So this is like so you're saying the Jamaica Stock Exchange basically has two
has a
markets,
junior
the
market
junior and the main.
and the
The
main
junior
market.
is usually for smaller companies. They raise, you're limited in terms of how much money you can raise. Before it was like 500 million Jamaican.
Mm-hmm.
Now it should be 750 million Jamaican. And then the main
Yeah, so it's
markets can
about
be all
50 mil
billions and
to.
billions of dollars. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you need to
Mm-hmm.
at least, it needs to be at least 50 mil to 750 mil. But
Mm-hmm.
it's beautiful because it allows, small and medium companies to list shares and
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the tax benefits because there are tax
Mm-hmm.
incentives. I think
Mm-hmm.
today to have, is it almost 50 companies,
Mm-hmm.
over 40 companies, and many of them are like family owned businesses that have listed. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the cool part about it, raising growth capital, expanding jobs, etc. And that in turn, thousands of like everyday Jamaicans have invested into these firms. I
Mm-hmm.
think of companies like, Honeybun
Mm-hmm.
and Dolphin Cove, right? Those grew into just made big companies. Those are big
Mm-hmm.
companies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that benefits, founders, that benefits employees and shareholders. So I think building on this, the next step is that JSE micro market. I think that will push inclusion even further by
Mm-hmm.
opening up, equity investments to even micro enterprises, so much smaller
Mm-hmm.
businesses. And I think that to me is more inclusive as well. So I think that's a really good push by the government. I really hope to see them execute that very well,
Mm-hmm.
because now that allows for Jamaica's capital markets to like foster a culture of just shared ownership in the
Mm-hmm.
economy,
Mm-hmm.
and allowing a lot of those smaller
Mm-hmm.
businesses to grow. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something I'm looking forward to
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
specifically.
because the book talks about that same stuff, like, oh, having, like, people can have assets, like say they have
Hmm.
someone has a business, it's making money, it's, yes, it is legal, but the value of the business, it's not like they're gonna maybe sell it, but like, oh, with the stock market, for example, you have you can value, the company is valued every day basically. So you could say, oh, say they own half of the company, is worth $1 million US, so they have 500,000. Like, it's gonna be easier for them to get like a bank loan or things like that. Or so it's the, because I remember the book was speaking about how, I think in the US at some points they had a lot of squatters. So basically people would, they would own a land, say it's owned by the government, they just live on the land
Hmm.
and they develop it, they build it up, pretty it up, and they're there for years, they're basically running it. Essentially those are people who, they weren't just, it's almost like they weren't just, oh, what you would typically think is a squatter, where, oh, they don't have any money and they're, not contributing to society as much or whatnot. They were actually people who like had businesses or were doing well, or they were helping, I guess, drive the economy and whatnot. And it was like, I think the US government then allowed them to buy back to buy the land from the government. So it's like, okay, the person used to live on that property which was owned by the government, but they basically are now able to buy it from the government. So they could say, hey, I've been living here for these years, it's already my house, you need some money, let me just buy it. And then they gave them that ownership, and that helped to like drive the growth of the country, versus if they just forced them out.
I think Jamaica has something like that as well,
Mm.
where I think if you I want to say the word squat, but if you capture the land, I don't know how else to say it,
Capture.
but let's say you you you
Mm-hmm.
you build up your property and your house.
Mm-hmm. A zinc.
Um, you don't even have to be zinc, bro. Let's say you build a proper house, like
Mm-hmm.
let's say you go to Saint Anne, somewhere in Saint Anne, and you see a piece of land that you want, and you start build up on it, and over time, as you say, you develop the land, you do certain landscaping, you build out your property even further. You now put a upstairs with a balcony and all of these different stuff. I think there's a certain amount of years that if you're there on that land for and no one like contests it, it's yours.
Mm.
I don't know, guys in the comments, if you're mentioning this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I feel like it's like 7. I don't know why 7 is in my head. I don't know if it's 7 years
Mm.
or something like that, but I
Mm-hmm.
remember seeing that somewhere. I'm gonna have to search for it, but yeah, it's not 7 years. I think that's way too short. I think it's over 10 years if I'm being honest. But I need to find it. I know I can find it, but it's non-governmental lands. I remember
Mm-hmm.
non-governmental lands. I guess if I can find it and see. But
Mm.
yeah, I think it's the same thing here, where if you do that, oh wow, found an article on it actually.
It's
This
12 years.
is Yeah, it's 12 years. I see an article from Miles Fletcher. I'm gonna send it to you on WhatsApp again. So this is from the law firm Miles Fletcher. Uh, so under the concept of adverse possession, a person can take ownership of your land if that person can prove that they were in possession of your land
Mm-hmm.
without your authorization for at least 12 years. This 12-year clock starts
Mm-hmm.
ticking when the unauthorized person, colloquially known as squatter, takes possession of your land. After 12 years of uninterrupted possession, the squatter who has dispossessed you of your land takes an interest in your land and can be deemed the new owner. That's kind of
Mm.
crazy to me. But
Mm-hmm.
if somebody squats on your land for 12 years, you clearly never did want the land in the first place.
That's what I was thinking.
So you might as well just get
Unless
up
it's
the
like
land.
it was like some land you inherited from a family member. and someone was
Yeah,
living there.
yo.
You just
Yeah. So you never did want it. 12 years? Nah. Better you give me that land. In fact, I need to do some research and see where I can find some land. Because there must be somebody that migrate ages ago and go visit Jamaica in like 10, 20 years, bro. Must can find somewhere. Not saying I'll be a squatter, but let's see. But yeah, bro. I think this is a really cool episode because I mean there's so much more we could talk on, you know. I know we didn't even touch on like healthcare or even crime and how, you know, crime acts as like an extractive
Oh, I did touch on it. I was saying
force.
the whole informal economy, like, oh, if the illegal method is
Oh
easier.
yeah, true. Oh yeah, fair,
Yeah.
fair, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how the same way, and this is just me tying up the first thing I mentioned about Singapore and their independent entity against like corruption. I think so. There's a whole index called the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, and there's like a score out of
Wait, go again.
100.
Transparent. What?
Transparency International Corruption Perception Index. So there's a score, and Jamaica is ranked on that, right? Because we've improved in like, you know, governance rankings, scandals, and those kind
Oh,
of stuff. But I think we were scored. I think it was less than 50 out of 100.
I'm actually looking now. Can
And
put it
yeah,
on.
that indicates a significant room for improvement. Because
Mm.
like, you know, if government contracts, scarce resources, all of those things are captured by the, as I said, links or the well connected, I should say. Those are extractive things. So I think to counter that, what we created was, you found Jamaica on it?
Yeah, I think we're. Hold on. So we are
Oh
ranked
yes.
73. Oh wow, we
Mm-hmm.
are.
44 out of 100.
Where's the worst? Which one's the worst? South Sudan. Somalia.
Yeah, you should watch a video on Somalia versus like
I had Somalian
Somaliland.
food the other day. It was good.
Mm.
It was good.
But going back to this, to counter this, so you know, Jamaica established things like the Integrity Commission and MOCA. You know, MOCA is Major Organized Crime something agency, or yeah. So and then they passed like new procurement laws and so on. So I think that's the right direction to take. And I think those entities need to survive, need to stay independent, need to survive for us to get to the next level. They need public backing. They need the government to comply with those kind of things. So yeah, because all those things, ongoing vigilance, you know, culture of transparency, those are needed for, you know, public institutions to serve all of us, all citizens fairly, equally. So yeah, we spoke a lot about a lot of different things. If you guys want to check out the book, it's a pretty cool book. I think Ray Dalio did a similar kind of book on why nations fail that I need to read as well. I like him as an author. But let us know what you guys think about this episode in the comments down below. If you liked it, you know, hit that like button. If you really liked it, then subscribe. I would really appreciate that stuff. But thank you guys so much for listening to us as always. Stay limitless. Limitless out.
Peace.